I don't think he's gonna show up. I don't either. I'm messaging CC right now to fucking end that shit.
Have a response.
Yo.
Yo.
I'm gonna tell him to join right now because I'm on my other phone, the backup phone, wink wink, to win CC's live, and I'm just gonna share the live out and then tell him to join your live.
Okay. Tell him not to run. Don't be running now.
Yo, get K up here. Where's K at?
He's not here yet. If he doesn't come to my live in 5 minutes, I'm going up there. I'm dropping every single one of those people and debating him. I'm forcing the debate.
Okay, let me here, you can literally hear me say this. I'll turn you down, but you can hear me say this right now. Here, watch this. 1 second. Okay, she's just like, they're hung up on the biblical shit real quick. Let me, wait, why can't I send Iris be a duck? Do I not have her on this account? There it is. Okay, so I'm sending her your live to like motivate her to come, and then I'm sending it to K. Yo, he left the live lit.
Okay.
Lit is live. If anyone's gonna want to join and watch them talk. There, you heard me say it, bro. And then I sent the live to K and to CC.
The guy that was talking a minute ago, I guess. Yeah, I would say I didn't want to like badmouth you, host, but I think you.
Yo, do you mind if I also share this to Link? Is that cool?
Yeah, share to whoever you want, bro.
Fuck, did you get his username by any chance? Like, I know his name was Joe, but did you get his actual tag?
Yo, Catholic, how old are you?
56.
Oh my god, bro. Yeah, his username was Joe or something, right? Just Joe?
Well, that was his, like, name, but, like, his actual TikTok handle. Did you get the handle?
No.
Let me see if I can grab it, because then I can just, like, link it.
He's being a little coward. Yeah?
Age discrimination, sir.
Yeah, I don't care. Andrew's looking for you guys. Give him my handle. It's Sylit. My handle is Sylit. P-S-Y-L-I-T. Sylit.
Okay, they're gonna put it in his chat. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, because I never got his actual. I should have clicked on it sooner, but I was trying to like do a bunch of things. My bad on that. Oh, yo, they gave his handle. Are you able to like send him the live, even though you're not his friend?
No, I have to be like friends with someone to send it to them.
Okay, let me join him, and I'll try to send it to him from another account. How about that?
Andrew, I just don't think that question is arithmetically valid, bro.
Oh, please don't go back to that. Not that debate, bro.
I'm just kidding.
Oh, they said he's coming in.
Yo, Andrew, it's nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, so I'm curious of whether or not you take on the view that abortion is morally impermissible.
I'm not interested in what your views you might be asking me about. I'm interested.
That's already fucked.
I'm interested in what mistakes you think I'm making. That
What
was your
mistakes
claim.
I think you're making? Yeah, I think the mistakes
that
that
was
you're
your
making
claim.
is with respect to, yeah, I got you, bro. I think the mistakes that you are making are with respect to how you argue, how you commit yourself to normative theory, the weird divorcement you try to do with respect to normative theory and your worldview. I also think that your epistemology is weak. I think that your normative theory is weak. I think that your commitments are weak. I think that you have no arguments for any of the claims that you actually espouse. And I think that you don't know anything about philosophy. Now, which part do you want to like establish? We could talk about your normative theory, maybe?
Let's start with don't know anything about philosophy.
Yeah, we can do that. So
Which
let's
things
start off
about
with the phone question.
philosophy?
Yeah, let's start off with
so
the-
hang on,
yeah, I
hang
got
on.
you,
But
bro.
I want to
Okay.
start with this though. You said that it was the last panel that I was on. That's what you're going to critique, right?
No, I'm critiquing multiple panels you've been on tonight.
I've only been on one panel tonight.
Oh, now you're a fucking liar. Okay, no, you were not just only on Cece's live. You were on a live previously talking to Bart. So why are you lying?
No, it's the same live. Oh, well,
No,
I guess
that
the
was not
Christian
CC's
chick.
live.
The Christian
Yeah, that
chick
was-
was the second live. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you're right.
But-
So
but like-
that's an untrue.
But an
yeah, it's an untrue statement, Andrew.
an active panel. Yeah, there was only one I was on.
An active panel. Both panels
Yeah.
are active. I don't know what you think an inactive panel is, but that's fine. So
A
look,
panel that doesn't have many people on it or any people.
that
on
would
it.
still be active. It would just be minimally active, genius. Now, with respect to
So wait,
no,
is it just
before
be minimally active?
yes,
A panel with nobody
there's a-
on
yeah.
it is
There's
active. That's an
there's a
active
clear
panel.
distinction. Yeah, there's a clear distinction between active and inactive, genius. So anyways, look,
Okay.
I want to start off with perhaps your theory, or rather your knowledge with respect to goodness and badness with respect to applied ethics and normativity. Which normative theory do you take on?
So I take on axiom 1.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so when we're talking about a normative theory, what is a
Yeah,
normative theory under your view, Andrew?
I need you to tell me what
Oh.
axiom 1 is.
Oh, well, look, I'm asking you about normative theory. What do you think a normative theory is? my
I
friend?
just told you I haven't. My normative theory is axiom 1.
No. That's telling me the kind of normative theory that you're committing yourself to. I want to know what your semantics on a normative theory is. Can you provide that to me? What is
No,
that?
sure. I'm sure that I can pull up. Well, let's pull it up and we'll make
Oh
sure that we can
Let's
agree
go
to
on
it.
Google. Yeah, we know because
Sure.
we know you don't have the knowledge. Let's just see what Google says. Let's go for it.
Don't you think we should agree on terms?
We should agree on terms, but I don't think I agree with the Google definition.
Okay. Well, what definition would you use?
I would say that a normative theory is just a system of operations with success conditions that move the agent for the sake of itself. And I think that this definition best captures the scope of normative theories insofar that if you define normative theory enumeratively, it's best satisfied under that scope.
I'm fine talking to you, but there's heavy breathing or something in the background. Can we do something about that?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. What?
I said there's heavy breathing or something in the background. Can we do something about
Oh,
that?
sorry. Yeah, I was walking outside.
Mhm.
Yeah, did you miss the definition?
No, I got it. And so I agree. And so axiom 1 is my normative
Okay,
theory.
so can you demonstrate the success conditions of axiom 1?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
So because X is true, right? Then Y is also true.
Do you think that's a success condition?
For axiom 1, it is, yes.
Yeah, what do you think a success condition is now?
It's a condition for success for axiom 1.
Oh, you're a fucking genius, bro. So let me get this straight. Basically, when a bunch of like dipshit, like OnlyFans people come up on your podcast and they give
Yeah.
you circular definitions and then you criticize them for them, do you understand that you are the same kind of individual? You understand you're just as stupid, right?
You're saying that that axioms are not tautological?
So now you're not even tracking the thing that I'm telling you. Are you okay?
I'm trying to, but
Yeah,
do you know what?
try harder, bro.
You
Lock
need to
the
tell
fuck
me
in.
what. You need to tell
Look,
me
this
what
is
axiom 1 is.
look, just relax. This is the part where you
Okay.
lock in. Okay, this is the part
I'm
where you
locking
try
in.
to focus in the conversation.
Okay, I'm
And
focusing.
you don't behave like an 18-year-old OnlyFans bimbo that you ostracize and you beat the fuck down on your podcast, okay? This is where you lock in and you demonstrate to us that you're not as dumb as those people.
Okay.
Okay. Very good. So, upon what theory, upon what quantification does something become a success condition with respect to a normative theory?
Axiom 1.
That's not a quantification, you fucking idiot.
It
That's
is a
the standard.
quantification. If
Nope,
you knew
that's
what
the standard
axiom
of
1 was, you
evaluation.
would know
Standards,
that.
hang on. Standards of evaluation require quantifications, you fucking idiot.
Lit, what's your favorite
Oh my
flavor of
god,
ice
this
cream?
guy.
My favorite flavor of ice cream is vanilla.
Okay. What makes you happy?
Eating ice cream.
Okay.
I thought you said that nobody was going to be able to talk in this except us, and you weren't going to be.
Oh,
I'm
I
trying to
thought-
help you out, my guy.
Oh no! I don't need the help, man.
You don't
We're talking about
okay.
Axiom
All
One.
right, man. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Our apologies.
yeah. Thank you.
All right, so can you argue? Okay, so back to the question that I asked you. What's the answer to the question?
Axiom One.
Wait, that's not the question that I asked you. Do you recall the question that I asked you?
Yes, and the answer to it is
Yeah,
Axiom
what was it? What was the question that I asked you?
The question you asked me is it true that Axiom One is true?
Nope, that's not the question that I asked you. You fucking moron, bro. Do you understand that like Dean and Parker have come up on these lives and have done far better than you with every respect, bro? How are you this
Yeah.
trash? How is your
Oh,
strongest?
man.
How is your strongest interlocutor an 18-year-old OnlyFans like model? Why is that your strongest opponent? Like, are you good?
I don't know. I guess those are just the best ones out there, man.
Well, best ones relative to your stupid ass, right?
I don't know why you're saying so many names towards me. I've been nothing but nice to you.
I'm saying so many names to you because I think you're a scumbag. I think you're a terrible fucking person. I think that you try to knowledge gap people that have no idea what they're talking about while just having maybe 0.1% more knowledge than they do. And you stand on a fucking high horse about it when you're a fucking moron.
Like when?
Yeah, so let's point out an example of this. Maybe an example of this is when you were talking to that one, like, I forget, I don't know her fucking name, but she's that one girl that debated Charlie Kirk. And you were trying to...
Naima?
Both of you? I don't know her name.
Naima?
Yeah, I don't know her name.
Yeah, Naima.
Is she like the black one?
Well, she's a black woman, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, look, remember when you were talking about brain swapping and having knowledge absent of brains? Or being able to feel, or rather having phenomenology absent of a brain?
I don't remember exactly the context for that, for if it was phenomenology or not.
Do you think you can have phenomenology absent of a brain?
That's irrelevant to what you're asking me. You're supposed to be pointing out
what-
where I'm
yeah, I
doing
am.
something wrong here.
Look,
or
I'm
how
pointing
a
something.
scumbag.
I'm pointing something out that you did wrong, and then once I did that, you were like, I actually don't remember the context of whether or not it was about phenomenology.
You didn't even
So that's
remember
actually-
the chick's name.
That's actually.
You
that's
didn't. You
actually
just
really
said the
different.
black one. You just said the black one.
Yeah, I don't think
Like
I need to remember.
that-
I don't
that's
think I
the
need to
only black
remember. I don't
chick
think
I've
I
ever
need to
debated.
remember her name.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
my
I
God,
can't.
man.
You expect me to remember the context of everything I've talked with everybody about always?
No,
or-
I don't expect you to remember that at all. But I do expect you to
Yeah,
at least
so-
recall that you have piss poor performances with respect to 18-year-old OnlyFans models. Presumably, you do
Do you
understand
think
that, right?
that chick is an 18-year-old's OnlyFan model?
No, I'm making a general claim, not an absolute claim.
No, because if I remember correctly, she's got a master's degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I don't
Good for her.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
I don't
good
think
for
that
her.
she's an 18-year-old OnlyFans model.
Did I claim
In
that
fact,
she was?
I don't really even remember really debating very many 18-year-olds OnlyFans models.
Did I claim that she was?
It sounded like you were inferring it. Yeah.
No, that's not what I'm inferring. Now, let's move back on to.
Now let's move back to this. I want to talk
Yeah,
about what it is that I'm a scumbag about with this chick. What did I do there that was scumbaggery?
That I think that you're a pedantic moron who's trying to knowledge gap while only having 0.1% more knowledge than the other person.
Well, no, you
example
said I
of
was a
that-
scumbag. You said I was a scumbag.
that is scumbag behavior. An example of that is with respect to the context of phenomenology that you do not recall because you're an idiot.
So earlier you just said that you didn't expect me to remember every conversation I had, and now that I don't recall the conversation, you say I'm an idiot.
No. You're asking. Look, I don't expect you to remember every single conversation that you have, but I do expect you to recall that you do try to do this knowledge gappy thing where the fact is that you only have 0.1% more knowledge than most people with respect to the kinds of conversations that you engage in. An example of that is something you don't recall, which is perfectly fine. But when you're trying to charge me with pointing to examples of you doing these bad things or being an idiot, like
Yeah, but what's the example of the bad thing, though?
I just
Even if
gave
I don't
you one.
recall
You
it,
just
I'm
don't
just looking
recall
for the
it.
example of it.
Yeah, I gave you one. You just don't recall it.
Yeah, but what was it, though? What was the actual bad thing I did?
So the bad thing is trying to knowledge gap with respect to the context of phenomenology while you know nothing about phenomenology.
Yeah, I mean, even if I was wrong, I don't know how that would be me being a bad person or doing a bad thing.
It's a scumbag thing in virtue of its habituation. Not only that, didn't you freak the fuck out when someone called like your
What?
wife something?
What do you
and,
mean?
you were like, "Don't call my wife." That you were freaking.
Yeah, I
the
think
fuck out.
that seems. I mean, but that seems reasonable and not like scumbag
No,
behavior.
I don't think that's
I think most
reasonable. Not
people-
only do I not
I think
think
most-
that's reasonable.
you don't you
whatever
think-
happened? What happened with it? Whatever
Don't you
happened with
think?
like the pickle jar?
Well,
thing,
hang
by
on,
the way?
dude. Calm down. You got to
No,
calm
I'm perfectly
down.
calm, bro. I'm at about
Calm down.
70 BPM.
Well,
Are you good?
then don't.
Do I sound not
then
calm to you right now?
Then don't spurg. Don't.
I'm
Yes,
spurging.
you don't sound calm.
I think I'm
So
perfectly
calm down. But how is that? I don't even understand that criticism. Even if it was the case that I got upset because somebody was talking about my wife in a manner I thought was inappropriate, that seems totally reasonable and the opposite of scumbag behavior.
No, look, it's not unreasonable with respect to the standards and all these things that you have about women, and then how. Look, I don't really want to get super deep into your wife.
No, I do, but I do. I want to. What standards do you think I have for women?
Don't you think it's okay to like like have sex with your wife when she's sleeping?
Oh, you mean wake up a consenting woman who's pre-consented to sex with you? Yeah.
Okay, look, I think I've sort of.
Is there? Hang on. Is there an issue
Look,
there?
just relax. Just calm.
What,
Yo,
hang on.
Andrew, just calm
What's
down,
the
bro.
problem there?
Just relax, bro. Just calm
Do
down.
you have
look.
do you have an issue with
Look,
that
look,
stance?
look,
or-
look. I kind of do, yeah.
Look,
But
look.
With respect
Well,
to,
what's the issue?
Just relax,
Like, what's
bro.
the
Just
issue
relax.
with the stance?
Yeah, it goes against.
What's the
Yeah, it
problem?
goes. I'm telling you right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
it goes against your prudential norms,
Okay.
bro. It goes against the prudential interest, bro.
Okay, how?
Goes against your prudential interest because when some entity cannot make informed decisions with respect to an action that's active and non-passive, then that action is uninformed, thus being wrong, thus frustrating your prudential interest, bro.
Like surgery?
No, not like surgery.
How is that not like surgery?
Because with respect to surgery, we have different phenomenologies in question. So, for example,
So,
when we're talking about, hang
what's
on,
it-
hang
what?
on, I'm
Yeah,
explaining
go
it to you.
ahead, go ahead.
With respect to
Okay.
SMECS, what we understand that's occurring
Yeah.
there is with respect to hot cognition. When we're talking about the
Yeah.
consent to surgery, we're talking about cold cognition. There's your symmetry breaker, bro.
Okay, so what's the difference between cold
What's the difference
cognition?
between hot and cold cognition?
Yeah.
One has to do with decision making with respect to exciting stimuli. Then the other is the negation of that.
Okay, so if there's exciting stimuli which wakes you up that you pre-agreed to, that's bad.
You can't pre-agree to that in virtue of the stimuli.
Then I don't understand why you can pre-agree
Yeah, I
to
can tell, bro.
surgery.
Because
Yeah, I don't.
that has nothing to do with exciting stimuli. It's a cold cognitive decision.
Yeah, but why I don't understand. You say that's a threshold breaker, but what makes it
I never
break
said
the
that's a
threshold?
threshold bracer. I said that's a symmetry breaker.
Okay, it's a symmetry breaker, but why is one okay and one isn't?
Because one is with respect to hot cognition, one is with respect to cold cognition. I defined both
Well,
of these terms for you.
Yeah,
You're just
I know
slower
you
in understanding them.
I know you pointed at both, but you haven't told me why one's good and one's bad. You just say that they're different.
No, I actually did tell you why one was good and one was bad, and it was with respect to
Okay.
prudential interest. So now
Well,
you're
help
actually
me.
not tracking again.
I'm not. Help me out here.
Yeah, I know,
So
bro. It's really bad.
Why would it, if you can pre-agree to have surgery that's elective?
That kind of
It's
conversation
like-
occurs cold cognitively, and then the act of surgery is an act that occurs cold cognitively. With respect to SMECS, that's an act that occurs hot cognitively.
Can you explain real quick what is cold cognitively again?
Yeah. So again, cold cognitively has to do with the decision making or kinds of
Yeah.
actions that have to do with the lack of exciting stimuli with respect to an agent.
Okay, so a lack of exciting stimuli. Can you give me an example of that?
Deciding to fill up my gas.
Okay, so why couldn't you have a conversation pre-sex that was not non-exciting stimuli?
Holy shit, you're a fucking idiot. Because when you have sex, that's exciting stimuli.
Yeah, but the conversation
Do you
where you
think-
consent to it,
Yes,
the conversation
that
where you
look.
consent to it beforehand is not exciting stimuli.
Dumbass, because there's a supervenience relation with respect to cold and hot cognition. Okay, so when you're having a cold cognitive conversation about SMECS, the supervenience there goes on to hot cognition, in which case it's negated in virtue of the act being hot cognitively loaded and the decision making being cold cognitively loaded.
Okay, hang on, back up. Say that again.
Okay. There's a supervenience relation with respect to hot and cold cognition, and with respect
What does that
to
word mean? Hang on, real quick. What does that word mean? Supervenience.
the way one thing applies up to another, bro.
Okay, so the way that a conversation about sex before you have sex is going to be different
Nope.
than the way that you have a
Nope.
conversation pre-surgery.
Nope.
Okay, then
Nope.
explain it.
I did. Hang on, give me 1 second. Just Kojo, you said you wanted to critique him on something, or you had a critique about
I'm
something.
no. You got to follow your own rules here, bro. Get back to it.
I think I bitched you
No,
enough.
you got to follow. You got
I
to
think
follow
I'm
your own
satis-
rules
you
here,
want,
man.
You want more bitching? I don't think I want to bitch you anymore, bro. I feel bad. I think I'm doing something immoral now.
Well, I'm
You
not
think that-
trying to.
You think because I asked for clarification on the things that you're saying,
When you
I
ask
still
clarification
just
on
as
a thing
I'm not
that
trying to
explains
start any
25 times the way
controversy,
they
but
look to a child.
I want to have a conversation about his beliefs. That's really it. Don't want to start any
Yeah, I'm
controversy.
not interested in discussing these things with you. I'm interested in finishing with this guy's critiques.
You want to go back to the conversation about your character.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Yes.
you'd rather that than a more substantive conversation about your beliefs.
I didn't agree to come in here to discuss anything with you.
I didn't
because
say you
you're
agreed.
in
I'm just saying you
Then,
would rather.
and by the way,
choose-
he broke his own rules. He promised that he wouldn't mute me, and it would just be me.
I haven't muted you a single time.
Well, hold on, Lib. Before
And
you
is
talk
it
about
is
that.
it just you and me? No, it isn't.
So you'd rather have the conversation about your character?
Would
than
you?
a
I don't
substantive
understand.
conversation?
Right now, let's have a conversation about the character of somebody who is not following the rules of what they said that they would do.
Why do you want to talk about people's character so much?
Well, that seems to because his criticism was that I was a scumbag.
Right, but he dropped that conversation just a moment
Yeah,
ago.
but I don't want to drop the conversation.
You're
That's
so
nice.
So
That
you'd
insecure.
rather
You're such
so
a
you'd
bitch.
rather have a conversation about your character than
Why are you still here talking? If that's how you guys are going to do it, if you're going to break your word, then we can do something else. But
I
are
don't
you
know
gonna
what
keep
this
your
word thing is about, but I wasn't there for that.
Yeah. So he said that we would have a conversation with each other with no muting.
Look, you can go back to talking about your character, man. Go ahead.
Great. So anyway,
You understand
so
that
back to
you
this.
understand that right now we're not talking about your character. We're talking about hot and cold cognition.
Oh, well, I mean, we can get back to character if you want, but I'm still confused because you said that part of my character. You said part of my character flaw was that I wake my wife up sometimes with sex, and she wakes me up sometimes with sex. So I guess that would be a bad character flaw for her too.
Yeah, that'd be bad on her too. Yeah. But anyways, I have a new character
Why?
criticism.
But
bro.
I don't understand why that would be. Why that's actually bad? I know that you.
Yeah, I know. I
have,
only
frazzled-
explained it to you 3 times, bro. That's
Yeah,
all good.
but can you use
all good, man.
really simple English because I'm a dumb.
Are you a simple man?
Yes.
You want me to speak to you like
Very
you're a
simple
second
man.
grader? Do you have the mind
Yes.
of a second grader?
Yes.
You have the mind of a second grader.
Yes. Can you explain it in really simple English?
I guess I can, but you agree that you're a dipshit and you have the mind of a second grader, right?
Yeah, sure. You got him. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's try to explain it in simple English for you. So, the kinds of actions that are bad with respect to this case are the kinds of actions that you do without the proper information. And so, how do we know that we're acting out of accordance with proper information? Well, it's in virtue of 2 psychological phenomena.
Well, hang on, real quick.
Oh.
Can I just clarify a couple things? So, when you say that it's improper information,
Yeah.
is that right? Okay, so is one of these cases proper information and one's improper information?
Well, I don't know which cases you're referring to right now.
Well, in the case of waking your wife up with sex and she pre-agreed to it versus her pre-agreeing to have surgery and then having surgery.
Uh-huh. Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
it's
yeah. One
yeah.
is proper, one is improper. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and the improper one is the sex one, right?
I can put
Okay,
it. Look,
just wanna make sure
maybe,
we're
maybe,
clear.
yeah.
Go ahead.
Maybe it'll help you understand it this way. Okay, so look, we'll put it this way. So, with respect to the sex thing, okay, we understand that there's a cold cognitive conversation, but then the activity is hot cognitively loaded. Okay, so we understand that the 2 entities in question are not acting in a way where they're making. One isn't making an informed decision in virtue of being asleep. Okay, but maybe you can say this is the same thing with respect to the surgery thing or whatever. So then what's the symmetry breaker? Well, there's two symmetry breakers. The first symmetry breaker is with respect to the conversation being cold cognitively loaded, and then the action also being cold cognitively loaded. That's the first symmetry breaker. And then the
Yeah,
second
the
symmetry
cold-
breaker.
Hang on, can we just stay with one at a time?
One more. Just one more. It's like a
Okay, go
sentence. It's like one sentence. Okay.
All right.
And then the
Go ahead.
second symmetry breaker is with respect to, do the reasons count in favor of taking the action in comparison to the first case? So with respect to the second case, the reasons count in favor of taking the action insofar that if you do not take this action, there will be a significant frustration of prudential interest. But with respect to the first case, there's hardly a frustration of prudential interest, at least in comparison to the second case.
Well, who gets to make the determination of interest here?
I said prudential interest, not qualitative interest.
Yeah.
Not the-
Who gets to make that determination is my question.
No, it's a category error. No person makes that determination, boy.
Okay, so then how do you know it's against anybody's prudential interest to do anything?
Okay, yeah, we do it inductively. So here's a little paradigm
Then
case. for it.
if we do it inductively, then wouldn't
Oh.
that be an individual ascertaining that?
In the sense that there's a person who's performing induction.
Yeah, so it would be the
Do
person
you think
who's
the nature?
doing the
Do you think the
induction
nature?
who is
Yeah,
making
there's-
the determination that there's something wrong with the prudential
yeah,
interest,
you're clearly
right?
confused on something. Okay, so here's what you're confused on.
I guess.
You understand? Yeah, I got you, bro. Don't even worry about that. You understand that there's a distinction between the nature of the action and then whether or not the action is acting in accordance or in harmonization with reality, right? You understand that distinction?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So we're taking on the latter. Okay, now look. Do you want the paradigm case to help you get clear on the case?
Yes.
Okay, so here's the paradigm case. Well, Andrew says something like, well, how do we know if, something is even going against the prudential interest? We point to a paradigm case. The paradigm case is this. So, a child has a well-being. We start off with that. So things that are good for it are things that are going to help it flourish. And so this kid is having heart failure for some reason. And we can either act in accordance with his well-being in the case of, getting the poor kid a new heart, or we can act out of accordance with his well-being and just say, hey man, you don't need a new heart, who cares? I think our intuitions are swayed. I think it's very clear if we point to multiple of these paradigm cases that we ought to act in accordance with some individual's well-being and not act out of accordance with some individual's well-being.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, so that's how.
Yeah, well, I don't understand how that relates to this, though. Even inside of that paradigm, you start with the idea that in
Because
order for
someone
this
is
child-
going through surgery, bro.
Hang on. I didn't even interrupt you once. When you say we provide that for flourishing, this needs to happen, the idea that a person can consent to elective surgery, this is something that they don't actually need at all. It's not necessary, meaning they don't need a new heart. Their heart's not going to stop. Their life will go on as normal. They just, like, let's say, want a mole removed, and they need to be
I didn't
put
hear that.
under
You
for
said they
that,
want a what?
or-
I didn't hear you. What?
Let's say they need like a mole removed, but it's a bit invasive, so they got to put you under for pain or something like this. These are
okay.
elective. These aren't things which are necessary for you to have this, like this functional life. I still don't understand how this would apply in this case. If you can go under to have your breasts like slightly increased or something like this and pre-consent to it, you can't unconsent while you're under. It's not any different than if a woman says, yeah, sure, I would love it if you woke me up this way. Or I said back to her, yeah, I'd love it if you woke me up with a BJ. Like, why? I don't understand how that's bad
Yeah, I've
still.
explained this to you about 7 different times, and I guess I'll just repeat the explanation I gave you because it sufficiently answers that. So again,
Okay.
the act of schmegs is a hot cognitively loaded activity, whereas the act of surgery is about as cold cognitively loaded as you can possibly get in the world.
Yeah, but that's where
Not only
where I'm
that-
confused. Hang on,
Hang on.
help me out here with this.
Oh god.
You say the act of sex is a hot cognitively loaded thing, and the act of surgery is not hot cognitively loaded. I assume that you think surgery is not hot cognitively loaded because the person's unconscious, right?
Yeah, that's one reason. Yeah.
Well, what other reason would there be?
Well, with respect to who needs to be hot cognitively loaded or cold cognitively loaded, we take into account 3 different criterion. We take into account the agent, the subject, and the state of affairs.
Yeah, just give me an example of something else it would be besides, the fact
It could
that they're
be. It could be
asleep.
the doctors.
That's what makes it cold.
Yeah, it could be the doctors.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the individual that is having the surgery.
That wouldn't be exhaustive of the information that we need for the case, because when you're assessing cases, you need to satisfy those 3 criterion.
Yeah, I get it, but I'm just looking for an example in this particular case of the
just a
individual.
woman, it would
who,
just be
hang on,
that.
hang on. Just let me hang on.
I just answered
okay,
you.
with just a woman, it would just be that. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
So
but that's
then-
not exhaustive of the
So
case.
then this is weird to me because in the former case, you keep saying the sex is hot cognitively loaded, but the state is exactly the same. They're both cold cognitively loaded.
That's not true.
It seems like it's true.
No, so I'll explain.
How's
to
that
you.
not true? They're
Yeah, I'm about
both
to explain
cold
it to you, bro. This is the
cognitively
part,
loaded.
This is the part where you
Okay.
lock in, right? This is the part where you start understanding. This is the part where you start contemplating. Okay, so for everyone in chat, for my boy Andrew here, contemplate the criterion that I gave you that you chose to ignore because you want to narrow down the cases so that it can somewhat fit your point, but it still doesn't. So let me point out the criterion I offered. The criterion I offered is with respect to the agent, the subject, and the states of affairs. That's the criterion that we use to determine whether or not some given action is immoral or moral. Okay, that's what that means. And so when my good faith interlocutor, Andrew Wilson here, decides to exclude 2 of the criterion, you're already not morally assessing correctly. You've already failed in your moral deliberation. But with respect to 2 entities that, are the kinds of entities that are in question, look, the person who's like under whatever anesthetic or put to sleep, yeah, she's not really feeling anything. There's no stimuli really occurring, at least phenomenologically. However, with respect to people who are asleep, we do understand that there is stimuli occurring such that they even wake up from it. So yeah, it's not analogous.
I mean, people wake up from surgery too. They're not under enough. And they also experience the same stimuli during surgery. They can have
Yeah, if
dreams
someone
and
wakes
other
up during
things like this
surgery,
as well.
Andrew, that's wrong. Yeah, if they're feeling that, that's wrong. It's bad.
Wait, it's wrong if they wake up from surgery?
If you wake up, if you're in surgery, in the act of surgery, and you wake up, some bullshit just happened, bro. What do you mean?
Yeah, but you agree that they're still feeling stimuli, right?
I agree that if you stipulate that they now feel stimuli, that there is a wrong maker now. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so then the woman in the case of the sex, they're waking up and they're also feeling stimuli. And so that's when you're saying that that's where it's wrong, right?
No. That's part of
No.
it, Andrew.
Okay. Well, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it because
Oh God, I can
if we're
tell you're
doing
trying,
cold-
man. Because for the 5th
Yeah,
time, I
if
don't
we're
want to give
doing
you that
cold-
criterion again.
if we're doing cold cognitive, and I have this written down as versus hot cognitive, and I just always want to be very clear on what it is that we're talking about. It sounds like in the cold cognitive that both the woman is experiencing this if she's asleep and if she's put under with sedation. If you're only talking about the general experiences that they're both having, that sounds like they're very, very similar experiences. They could be dreaming, or they could be this.
Look,
or
they
could be
can
that.
those experiences can be similar. That's fine. That doesn't satisfy the 3 criterion I gave you.
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah, but I don't
in
care
any
if
of these,
Yeah,
in any
there's
of these
still gonna be a wrong
three.
maker.
Okay, I get it, but in any of these 3 criterion, I still don't understand which one's being violated with pre-consent to either. If the 3 criterion, in other words, are
How are you
stating
still
that
not
the one
getting
is
this? What are you talking
that the
about?
one is, well, I'm going to explain. If the 3 criterion are saying that in the one case this is fine, and in the other case it's not, and the only difference is because one is cold cognitive, one's cold cognitive, hot cognitive.
That's not the
then
only difference. That's a sufficient difference. Lock in, boy.
Oh,
Never said necessary.
Okay, well, what are the necessary conditions then?
There's no necessary conditions, boy.
What?
I'm sorry, were you under the impression that you need necessary conditions? Are you under the impression that you need necessary or sufficient conditions? Because you don't need that either.
Well, you said you said it's not a necessary condition. I assume that there must be one if you said
Nope,
that.
there's not. There's none. No necessary conditions. There's
So
just
there is
sufficient.
no necessary conditions.
Nope, just
Okay.
sufficient.
So just okay, it's just sufficient. So under the sufficient conditions, it's not cold cognitive, hot cognitive. It's these other three moral criterion. So can we go through those again?
Wait,
I just
sorry.
want to
say
write
it
them
again?
down to make sure I have
No,
them.
sorry. I didn't hear you. Say it again.
Yeah, you said that it's not just the cold cognitive, hot cognitive, but the other three criterion. So I want to write those down to make sure I have them correct.
Yeah,
So
you
criteria
can point
one.
to you can point to a wrong maker with respect to, like, let's take into account the act of schmecks, and then we'll take into account the act of performing surgery with respect to the agents that are doing those actions. So
Okay.
let's do an analysis on what kind of person is doing surgery and why. Well, we understand that this person is doing surgery to save this person's life or to do them some kind of service that, contributes to their prudential interest or something like that. Okay, so we understand
Okay, so
that this
hang on.
action-
I just want to make sure I
yeah.
got this. I just want to make sure I got it right. That's all. You can keep going in a second. I just want to make sure I got it right. The person performing surgery is doing it on behalf of the person who wants it done. That's one of the criteria, right?
No, that's not. What the fuck is wrong with you? Is that what you? Do you think that's what I said?
Yeah, because you said they're doing something which is in their prudential interest for the person, right?
No.
But the person.
Oh boy.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Look, they're doing the kind of action that significantly promotes their prudential interests, and they're doing that as like a kind of service for them.
Yeah, so they're doing a service for them that they want done.
That's not exhaustive.
I didn't say it's exhaustive. I just asked if that's the case.
Well, then that's an inaccurate recapitulation.
Okay, so what am I getting wrong here? They want a service that they want done.
Prudential interest, dipshit.
Okay, and then the prudential interest, let's make sure.
Real quick. You understand that if we
Mhm.
just go with the way that you've recapitulated it, then this statement is merely descriptive, but if we go with mine, then it becomes prescriptive. Yeah, it's a kind of a big deal. We kind of need to include that.
Okay, well, look, I'm not freaking out or calling you names. I'm trying to actually understand the position, and so I'm walking
Oh, yeah,
through
man,
it
that's
very
totally cool,
slowly
bro.
with you.
Yeah, that's cool, bro. It's
So,
all good.
can you tell me again? Prudential interest means what now?
You can just think of it as well-being.
Well-being. So it's good for their well-being. And what
That's
makes
right,
it good
boy.
for their well-being, and what makes it good for their well-being is they want it done.
No, dip
As
ass
well
is the inductive
as-
case I gave you.
Inductive case. Okay, so inductively. Okay, I'm confused again on the inductive case. What's the inductive
Oh my
case?
god, bro. The one about the kid in the heart.
Yeah, but that's not elective. That's necessary. Right?
Oh, okay. Is the case? Hey, wait. Give me 1 second, okay? I have to do something real quick. It'll take 1 minute.
We're still not allowed to talk, right?
Nope.
You okay? You there, Kay?
Yo,
Yeah, I sent you a rec, man, on Discord, dude.
all right.
All right, I'm back. Yo, can you
Okay,
hear me?
man.
Hello?
So, yeah, prudential interest reduces to well-being, and then the inductive case
Wait,
that
prudential-
you gave was in. That's what you
Okay,
said.
so you wanna do-
prudential
okay, so you
interest
wanna
is
do-
well-being. But hang on, real quick.
Oh,
Inductive,
dude, watch the
but you
course,
said
bro.
the
You're like 50. Just relax.
you said the inductive case was one where there was heart surgery, but that's necessary when I'm talking about elective. So if it's in the well-being of the person to have elective surgery, who's determining that it's in their well-being for the elective surgery? Usually, it's usually.
Oh, we
them,
have
isn't it?
to. Sorry, I was plugging in my. Okay, so with respect to the who thing again, Andrew, that's just another category error. You need to like stop doing that. Okay, now with respect to
Hang on. You broke up. Can you start over for me?
yeah, I got you. I said that again. The who thing is a category error. Again, you need to stop asking who. Okay, so and then with respect to with respect to the elective case, do we?
Well,
wanna
I
go,
mean, when you say
oh boy, here we go.
well, when you say well-being in this case, prudential interest equals well-being.
Yeah.
And then you say that, well, in the case of well-being, if it's elective,
Mm-hmm.
how do we determine the well-being here?
Yeah,
if it's
that's what I was going to.
Hang on.
Oh boy.
In case of the person actually wanting it, if it's elective.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to that, boy. Okay, so with respect to an elective case, do we want to go with the mole case, the mole situation?
Yeah, sure. You can do a mole, whatever.
Okay, so then we have to sort of examine that. Why exactly do they want a mole removed?
Because it makes them feel good.
Because it makes them feel good. It's just hedonic states.
Yeah, it just makes them feel good.
Okay, do more people end up like liking them more? Are their chances of finding a partner higher?
Sure, but those are all just things that make you feel good.
You can say that those are the kinds of things that are ultimately reducible to some pleasure state. That's perfectly fine. But these are the kinds of things that fit into a moral calculus when you're assessing moral dilemmas.
Sure, but
Okay, so
ultimately
is
they
it
just
the
want
case-
it done because
Just real
it
quick,
makes them
is
feel
it the
good.
case? Just real quick, is it the case that
Mhm.
that's the kind of thing like, their chances of like a romantic love is higher, stuff like that?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Well, it could be. It could be romantic love. It could be that they
like
their
higher
self-esteem.
self-esteem. Yeah.
Their self-esteem
More
increases.
confidence.
It could be all sorts of different things. Sure.
Okay, perfect. And then we can look at the motivations of the doctor. What's in it for the doctor?
Money.
Money. Okay, so he's just doing it for money. He's like, okay, yeah, I want to, I'm going to help you with all of these things
Yeah,
to make your life
they're
better.
not
and in
usually-
return, I want money. That's
Yeah,
fine.
there might
If you
be
want to say
like
that, that's fine.
there might be secondary interest, but usually it's money.
Okay, so it's money, and then with respect to the money stuff, it's because money helps you flourish, in society. Money, pays for all your bills. All these great things about money, right?
Yeah, and money helps you get shit you want. Sure.
Exactly. Okay. So we can assess the two kinds of attitudes and the two motivations with respect to that case. I think that the patient, the action.
Okay,
is
so
more
hang on. Well, let's stop
Oh,
there
oh.
real quick, just to make sure we got this
We have to
right.
investigate the case.
So we're assessing the motivation, and assessing the motivation, we've determined the woman wants this. She wants the mole removed because it's going to make her feel better about herself. So she wants the mole removed for that reason.
That's
to feel
non-exhaustive.
better.
Non-exhaustive.
Well, do we need an exhaustive set of reasons?
No, we need the relevant set of reasons, which would be
That seems
the
like
fact-
wouldn't that be a pretty relevant reason that she wants
that is
the mole
one.
removed
Yeah, good
because
job.
it makes her
boy.
feel
That
better
is-
about herself?
That is one relevant reason. Yeah.
Okay, so if we don't need an exhaustive reason or exhaustive number,
Look,
of
I said
reasons,
that
seems
look,
like a
you need
fine
to-
reason.
No, you need to listen to what I'm saying. You're like not tracking
Okay.
again. Okay, look, we need the
tracking.
relevant reasons. Okay.
Isn't
Now,
that
the relevant
okay?
reasons-
Well, what are the other relevant
look,
reasons?
Look, hang on, dipshit. Okay, look. When
Okay.
you keep saying, "Isn't that irrelevant?" Yes, it is a relevant reason. Notice the S
Okay.
at the end of reason. Okay, so look, the reason why we need to establish the reasons about her flourishment, her self-esteem, her higher likelihood of finding a partner, is because from
Yeah.
those facts we can pull that it is satisfying her prudential interests, and we can appeal to paradigm cases and induction with respect to that too. We can find people.
I can agree
who-
to that.
Yeah,
Sure,
exactly. But that's
I
what I'm
can
saying.
agree to
Like, that's
that.
important. Like those details are important because we know
Yeah.
that they are acting in accordance with their prudential interests.
Yeah, I can agree. I can agree to that. So then,
Okay,
and then we
perfect.
have that the doctor makes money. That's not an exhaustive set of reasons, but it's probably a
Uh-huh.
primary reason at least. He probably has some other reasons.
I think.
Okay.
I think.
So
that,
we've
okay,
established. Hang on. So we've established all
Oh,
of
boy.
that. Now, if we move over to the case of sex, can't we just
Uh-huh.
break this down the exact same way?
we're about to. Okay, now
Okay, let's.
I'm not done with the doctor. So with the doctor, we
Oh,
both
okay.
agree that the doctor is acting in accordance with his prudential interests, right? Because he's maximizing. He's doing a good service, and in doing a good service, he's also acting in his self-interest. Excuse me. Also acting in his self-interest, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure that it's a good service, but it's a service.
It's a good service. The reason why it's
He's
a good
definitely doing a
service is
service.
because no, it's a good service because it's satisfying the prudential interest of another person and not frustrating his own. So yeah, it's a good service.
Okay, then I'll go with that. Sure.
Okay. Now we move on to the case about I guess you and your wife or whatever. Okay, so what are
Yeah.
the reasons that count in favor of having sex with a woman who's asleep?
Well, you're not having sex with her when she's asleep. You're waking her up with sex.
Is there presumably she's asleep and you're fucking her for at least an X amount of time, right?
Yeah, for like 2 seconds, and then she wakes up.
Okay, so you're
Or
fucking.
you don't even
sleeping.
always have to fuck them, right? Well, let's turn it the other way. The woman's waking you up with a blowjob. Your wife's waking you up with a blowjob, which is sex, right? Or a form
Oral
of sex.
sex, yeah.
Yeah. So let's break
Okay,
down
so
the
then
same
what are the-
reasons
Yeah,
here.
what are the reasons that count in favor of blowing a guy who's unconscious?
Yeah. So in the case of a married couple, it spices up the marriage. It makes both partners much more comfortable with each other. It brings a sense of playfulness to it, brings a sense of closeness to it. It increases the bond between both of them and the trust between both of them. And they both seem to enjoy it very much. Those would
Okay,
be,
so we have
those would
yeah,
be
we
the
have
reasons, yes.
okay, we have reasons such as it's binding. There's more trust, all these kinds of things. But then let's
Yeah.
assess the act. The act is blowing a man who is unconscious. Now, when you are blowing a man, like I haven't done it, but look, if you're blowing a man who's
Are you
unconscious,
sure? You sound like you've done it.
Oh, see, now we're doing. Do you want to go back to the rhetoric? Because we get blown the fuck out on that.
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying.
No, we
you
can
sound
do
like
that.
you've
Yeah,
done
we
it.
can definitely do that.
But-
right? We can
But anyway,
definitely
no,
go
I
back
want to
the
stick with
rhetoric.
this. I do. I want to stick with. Hey, you took
Really?
like 80 shots. I took
Okay, so
one.
hang on.
Calm
So
down.
you took the one shot and now you're bitching down, right? You're bitching down. You're cooking
No,
the fuck
Go
down.
ahead. Come on. Get
Yeah,
to
good
the
bitch.
reasons here.
Good bitch. Good bitch.
Get to the reasons here.
Good bitch. Good
Mhm.
bitch. Yeah, cock the fuck
Yeah,
down.
yeah. Get to the reason. Get to the
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. Okay, so let's assess the reasons. Okay, look, when we're talking about the act of blowing men who are unconscious, we have to understand.
Well, you're not blowing
what
any
facts-
man, though. We got to be specific. Giving your husband,
Okay, is your
a
husband
person
a
you're
man?
committed to,
True or
a
false? Is your
person you're
husband a
committed.
man?
Well, but hang on. That's not all.
I'm just
it
gonna
has
ask you the question again when you're
Yeah,
done.
yeah, sure. They are a man, but they're not all other men. They're a specific
so-
kind of man.
Got it. Okay, so
They're a
the
specific
answer
kind of
is-
man who is your husband.
I got it. I got it, little bro. Okay, so you're blowing. So
So it's not
the-
any.
the
You're not
fact-
blowing
hang on.
any old man, right?
Hang on. Did I say any old man? Okay, so
Well,
it's
yeah,
true
when
that
you
you're
just
blowing
say-
a man, right?
When you just say blowing a man, it would be
Uh-huh.
a specific kind of man, though. Your husband, right?
Yes,
Because
that's
that
fine,
could
but
be-
you are-
that could create a relational-
Holy
that could-
shit, boy.
Because that can create a relational difference. Like it's
Look,
not
bro,
any
I get
type
it.
of. Hang on.
I got it, bro.
It
It's
is-
your husband.
If you're hang on,
I'm with
if your
you.
doctor is a man, is it important to qualify that it's not just a man doing the surgery, but a doctor who's a man doing the surgery?
Yes, I am agreeing with
Yes.
you, boy.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right.
Yeah,
Go
I've been
ahead.
trying to tell you that for the last 6-7 seconds. Okay, now look. Okay, so it's true that you're blowing a man, but not just any man. It's your husband. Okay, so that's not exhaustive.
Mhm.
Okay.
Correct.
So when we assess the situation of having oral smex or pleasuring the kind of person who is in a mode of unconsciousness, what kind of details can we extrapolate from this? Well, the kinds of details that we can extrapolate from this is that there is pleasure to be found, at least momentarily, in sodomizing an unconscious person, but not just any unconscious person. Of course, it is your husband. But a fact that is
Yeah.
true within that scope is.
I'm agreeing with all of that.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Hang on. Just relax, bro. Just
Uh-huh.
relax. But a
I'm
fact
relaxing.
that is true about sodomizing your unconscious husband is that there is pleasure being derived from sodomizing an unconscious man. That's a fact that's true, that's contained within that scope. Do you agree?
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Okay, cool. Now, we assess that, look, there is pleasure, or rather that your wife is finding pleasure in sodomizing an unconscious man. Obviously, it's you. So
Uh huh.
let's talk about the reasons why it would be wrong to sodomize an unconscious man.
And
then
let's
they'll
use
supervene.
the term
Hang on, and then they'll-
BJ, so that later you can't juxtapose in sodomization for anal sex, which you guys like to do. So just use BJ.
Who's you guys? I've
Your
never
wife's
had this
giving you a
debate before.
BJ. Yeah, but just say the BJ for me.
I might do sodomize. Okay,
Yeah,
fine. I
BJ.
guess we'll do BJ. It seems like you're insistent on BJ.
Okay.
Whatever. Okay, so we understand
Yeah.
that you are giving a BJ, right, to an unconscious man,
Yeah.
but the unconscious man is your husband. Now,
Yeah.
let's assess why these reasons could be wrong or rather, this action could be wrong on a surface level. Okay, so with respect to,
Well,
okay, so
hang on. We didn't do that with. Hang on. We didn't do that with the other case.
yes, we did.
All we
Wait,
did with the other. No, hang
Oh,
on. We didn't
do you wanna
assess
do that?
why they could be wrong. Well, no. I just want you to follow the same criteria for the other case as you do this one. In this case, you listed out the same exact types of positives that you found in the other one. What is? I'm so now I'm really confused where the issue even is.
yeah, I'm about to tell you. Okay, so look,
Okay.
the reason why we didn't assess the wrong makers with respect to the last case is because we both agree that both are with respect to their prudential interests. Not only that, but you actually did push back about the good service part. So there was pushback that was
Mhm.
given, but then that was quickly dispatched because it's a stupid fucking point. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Now
okay.
we're going to assess. Yeah, you got it. Okay, so now we're going to assess the reasons that may count out of favor with respect to blowing an unconscious man. Okay.
Wait, so when you say this may come into account for an unconscious man, in this case, we have actual specifics, right? So the specifics would need to apply to this particular couple, wouldn't it?
Are you talking about the specifics of like?
Yeah,
the-
so like
the
it could be
binding
the
thing, or what are you
case. It
talking
could be the case that two other people who have a different relationship
about?
are not going to have.
Yeah. That's fine.
So these
Yeah,
would
we
have
can-
to
we
be
can follow
things
this.
which would equate. Yeah, that would have to equate to me and my wife.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I guess the first question I have with respect to how you're sort of assessing these things is upon like what standard are you evaluating whether or not some
just
action is
the
good
same.
for? Oh,
Well, we're just doing the same thing that we agreed to before. We're just going to look at the pros here and say that the in the previous case, I agreed with you on the pros. We just agreed on the pros here. So now, where's the problem?
look, I'm explaining to you the problem. The problem is that with
Okay.
respect to the first case, we both agree that there is prudential interests that are being satisfied. However, we don't.
Yeah,
agree
you haven't
with
told me
respect
what
to-
prudent.
Hang on.
Yeah,
hang
what
on,
prudential
hang on,
interests
hang
are not
on,
being
hang on,
satisfied
hang
in the
on.
second?
Calm down. Just relax, buddy.
No,
Just chill out.
Yeah, no, very
Just chill
monotone
out.
voice for somebody who's supposedly
chill out.
freaking out.
Just chill out. Look, you can be monotonous and be freaking the fuck. I don't know why you think that's like inclusive. That's very strange. Okay, but look,
Well, you okay?
you look.
Go
So
ahead.
both of you and I agree with respect to the first
Uh-huh.
case that all the prudential interests are satisfied such that the action is probably
Yeah.
good, right?
Yeah,
Now,
it
with
sounds like
respect to
that
the
for the
second
second
case-
case too.
No, it actually doesn't sound like that. Okay, that'd just be a question.
Okay, well
bag.
then
Good
tell
job.
me. Then tell me.
Okay,
Then
so
go
with
ahead.
respect, just relax, just calm down. Okay, so with respect to the second case, what kinds of things act out of favor of blowing an unconscious person and or having schmex with someone who's also unconscious? Well, the wrong makers come from momentarily simulating the act of grape, in which there are kinds of traits that are true of grape that are also true with respect to this case. Namely, in the case of grape, there are traits true of, at least, sometimes, of an unconscious person. That's a trait true of this case as well. There's also traits with respect to, a person who is not willing in the moment. That's a trait that's true of this case. There's also a trait true of a lack of consent, because consent has to be with respect to hot and cold cognition, which is also true
Well,
of this
hang
case.
on. Well, hang on.
Here we go.
We have a kind of a couple of objections I'm going to bring up here.
Yeah, go for
Because
it.
the first one is bizarre to me. Yes, I would agree that you could say that shares traits with SA, but so does
Yeah.
regular sex. It shares traits with SA too. Just normal consensual sex shares traits with SA. So that's
Wait.
yeah.
When you're
Yeah,
talking
go ahead.
about look, when you're talking about traits that are true of normal schmex in SA, what we're talking about
Yeah.
are descriptive facts such as penetration. Okay, but
Yeah.
We understand that
So
descriptive facts.
traits. So
all
these are
depends if-
traits.
hang on.
These are
These are
traits
normative
which
traits.
are.
These are normative traits.
Well, hang on. Hang on a second. But aren't both sets normative traits here?
What do you mean both sets? What are you talking about?
Well, when you say that there's a set apart on traits, these are normative traits, like penis is in the vagina, right?
No, that's no.
Wouldn't
That's a
person being
descriptive.
person sleeping also the same thing?
Hang on. Wait, no. The first thing
Yeah.
is descriptive. The second thing would not be descriptive, and I'll tell you how. The reason why the
Okay.
second thing wouldn't be descriptive is because it moves the agent for the sake of itself. And what I mean by that is that when a person is sleeping, we find inductively that we refrain from having sex with a sleeping person, generally speaking. Or in your case, we find a rationalization of having sex with the sleeping person. In which case, in both cases, the sleepingness is moving the agent to act.
The sleepingness is moving. You mean because they're asleep, you're doing it to them?
Because because they're asleep, you're acting. Yeah, so you're either acting or not acting. So it'd be normative.
Okay, but are you acting because they're asleep, or are you just acting because you're horny and they're asleep and don't care?
Again, do you remember the 3 criterion I offered you?
Yeah, but this seems to move
Yeah,
into all
so
three
that-
of
so-
the criterion.
Hang on. So to point to one would not
and
be
the
exhaustive.
prudential interest for well-being here. So the only objection that you seem to have, at least so far, is that it could share traits with actual SA. So you're even putting the distinction there yourself.
It shares the normative traits of grape, and I demonstrated to you how. You're not
Yeah,
locking
but
in
I
like
mean,
that.
okay, name one of those normative traits that would not be the case there with regular sex.
No, dude. Look, sleeping. Look, one of them is sleeping.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not the
So?
case in regular sex, so that'd be normative. And I explained
Oh,
to you how
sure.
that's
So
normative.
if let's say that you're sleeping with a woman and she falls asleep, you're not SAing her, right?
You're having sex with a woman and she falls asleep.
Yeah.
Like she fell asleep in the middle of you fucking her? Yeah, you're saying her, bro. I hate to be the one to tell you.
Well, what if you don't know that she's asleep?
Then you're unknowingly essaying her, bro. What the fuck is wrong with you?
So then you're at that point you would say that guy's a rapist?
Sorry, I was letting my friend up. One sec.
So at that point you would say that guy's a rapist? Like he was
Yeah,
having sex with a woman
It depends on.
and
it
she
depends
falls
on-
she falls asleep?
Hello, can you hear me? Hello. It depends on your definition
Yeah.
of grapist. If by grapist you're referring to inhibit.
Well, you said he's essaying her.
Hang
so-
on.
Yeah,
If
go
by
ahead.
grapist
Yeah.
you're referring to habituation, then no. But if by grapist you're just talking about.
Well,
the
hang
kind of
on, hang
person
on,
who
that
has
word-
Oh.
Just
here
real
we
quick,
go.
the word habituation.
Uh-huh.
You mean like you're doing this habitually? Is that what you mean by
habituation? Yeah.
Okay, so you would agree though that you don't need to be doing something habitually to be a rapist.
Yeah, that's why. Did you think that I made a positive claim there? Or did I say it depends what you mean by
No, I'm
grapist
just
if you mean X?
I'm just clarifying it. That's all.
Okay, that's fine. Look, no, you're not just clarifying it. You're asking me an inquiry about my thoughts of whether or not someone who's engaged in the act of sex once is a rapist. Right?
Yeah.
That presumes or infers that I take on that I would take on the latter view.
Well, no,
Okay,
that's
now,
just me clarifying the
respect to-
position. That's all.
Just lock in a little bit. Okay, so look, if by grapist
I'm
you're
pretty
referring
locked
to
in,
something,
man.
just lock in, bro. Just lock in. If by grape
locked
you're just
in.
referring to, you're not locked in, bro. You're not locked in at all. Okay, so by grapist, do you just mean the kind of person who does the action habitually, or by grapist do you mean the kind of person who has engaged in an active essay? What do you mean by
A person who's
grapist?
engaging in active SA.
Oh, a person who's engaging in active essay? Yeah, that would be a grapist. Yeah.
Okay, so if so it is your opinion then, I want to make sure I got this right, or it is your position that if a guy is having sex with a woman, she falls asleep, he doesn't know she's asleep, right? And continues to have sex with her, he is SAing her.
Under
And
the
so therefore
definition
he-
you gave me.
And so hang
Yeah,
on,
under
so
your
then
definition.
therefore well, I'm asking about yours. I'm getting
No,
clarification
you
from
didn't.
your
Actually, you
position.
didn't do that. Okay, so let me recapitulate for the audience because this was a very slimy move. Okay, so Andrew asked me, do you think he is a grapist? He employed the term first.
Yes.
And I said, hang on. And I said, what
Yes.
do you mean by that term, Andrew? And he says, what I mean by this term grapist is someone who is actively engaging in the act of SA. So yes,
That's right.
under your definition of grapist, he is a grapist. That's correct.
Okay. Well, I didn't define grapist. You just said
You literally did,
oh,
boy.
I literally didn't. I just said to you, you said, or under a general term of SA. I said, I guess a general term of SA. That's not me defining SA.
Oh,
That's
okay.
just
So
me
then what
saying
did you
the
mean
word
by
essay.
grapist, Andrew? What did you mean by that term then? Can you define it for me?
Well, that's why I'm asking you what you mean by
You
it.
use the
That
term,
was the
boy.
whole point of the inquiry.
You use the term, boy.
I'm asking you about
So
it.
hang on, you're invoking a
Yeah.
term without defining it?
Well, I'm asking you what you mean by
Hang
it.
on, just to what I mean by it, I don't mean anything
Mhm.
by it. I mean what you mean.
You don't
because
mean
you invoke
anything
the
by
term.
SA?
I mean
you
what
don't mean
you
anything
mean
by
because you
SA?
invoke the term. Okay, look, let's recapitulate one more time because
No.
Andrew's lost.
Wait.
And
Hang
he's
on.
trying
Hang
a
on.
very slimy move.
No.
He's trying a
no,
very,
wait,
very
wait.
slimy move.
Hang
Okay,
on.
so
I just want to make
Andrew
sure that we're
asked
clear.
me-
That's all. I'm not
Hang
making
on.
any
Okay,
moves.
then
I'm
let's-
just
then let me get clear.
clarifying it.
Then let me clarify.
Okay.
Okay, here's the clarification for you. Okay,
Okay.
Andrew asked me, he said, do you think this person is a grapist? He invoked the term, a term that he's invoking. I said, it depends on what you mean by that term. Do you mean someone who's acting out of habituation, or what do you mean? He goes, no, just someone who is actively engaged in the act of SA. And I'm like, okay, cool. Under the definition you provided, Andrew, your definition, yes, he is a grapist. That is correct.
What was the definition I provided?
Okay, so for the fourth time, the definition that you provided was someone who is actively engaging in the act of SA.
That's not a definition of SA. That's not. It's not a definition of
No, it's a
rape. It's
definition of
somebody
a
who's
rapist.
engaging in rape.
It's a definition of
That's
a rapist.
not.
You're not tracking
okay.
again.
I didn't ask. I didn't ask that question though. I asked if
You
he
asked
is
me if I thought he was
engaging
a
in rape.
rapist.
I'm
No,
asking if he's
see,
engaging
now you're
in
lying.
rape.
Now you're
No,
lying.
okay. Listen, if I ask the question, if a woman falls asleep and
I'm
you
gonna
continue
clip
to have
this,
sex
bro.
with
This is
her,
so funny. This is
are
so
you
funny.
raping her? Is the question.
That was not the question, boy. But okay, re-ask the
Well, it's
question.
my
I'll
question.
answer it.
That is my question. If a
Nope,
woman
I'll clip
falls
it, boy.
asleep,
I'll clip it, boy.
you have
I'll
sex.
clip it.
Clip whatever you want.
Yeah.
If a woman's having, if a man is having sex with a woman and she
Mhm.
falls asleep, okay, and he doesn't know she's asleep, do you think he's raping her?
What do you mean by graping?
Whatever you think the word rape means.
I don't think. No, I don't know. I don't know what the word is referring to when you use it there. So I'm not sure. So
So that we don't
since
know.
you invoked-
So we don't know. So
Oh,
hang on.
oh,
So hang
so
on.
to be clear-
If you
to
hang
be
on,
clear,
hang
you
on. I'm
invoked
fine
the
with this.
term
I'm
once
actually
again.
fine. I'm fine. Hey, I'm fine with this.
You're invoking a term and you're not
If
defining
it's the
it, Andrew.
case,
Why are you
if
invoking
it's the
terms and not
case,
defining
hang
them?
on. Calm down, dude.
I'm
If it's the
calm, bro.
case,
Why are you invoking
if
terms
it's
and
the
not
ca-
defining
yeah,
them?
if it's the case that
Uh-huh.
you don't have any set definition for what rape is, then how could you claim that I'm doing any sort of rape with my wife?
Oh, that's super easy. You don't need a definitions with respect to understanding a term. You can cash it out enumeratively, or you can just point to traits true of the action. So that's how you can do that. Now, back to the thing that I offered you. And by the way,
Wait, hang on, back up. So then what are the definitions here that you're operating on?
Wait.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Okay, look. Andrew just did another slimy move. He was like, look, you don't have a set definition of grape, therefore, how can you say what I'm doing is grape? And I gave him a solid answer with respect to pointing to traits. Look, he thinks that there's just a standard definition with respect to like a definiens and a definiendum. Doesn't understand definitions of enumerativity. Doesn't understand that you can just point to traits true of a concept and cash it out that way. He doesn't understand that you can give in a definition by an ostensive definition. He doesn't get these things. So I answered that sufficiently. Now I want to go back to the core.
Hang on. I just want to know. I just want to make sure.
Andrew.
I just want clarity, and then I'll answer whatever you want.
We're not going to let you.
I'm not running.
This.
Actually,
You
I'm
are
just
running from
asking
this.
specific. I'm
I
going to ask you
answered your
specifically
question.
again.
I answered your question.
You
Now
haven't
I'm gonna-
actually answered it in a way that
Okay,
I
I'll
understand,
let
so
you
therefore
ask
you haven't
me one
answered
more-
it.
I'll let you ask me one more
Yeah.
question, and then I'm going to ask you my question. Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah, shoot, Andrew. What's
Yeah,
the one
so-
question?
By whatever you believe rape to be, the
Mhm.
definition of it to be,
Mhm.
if a man is having sex with a woman and she falls asleep, okay, and he doesn't know it,
Mhm.
okay, and he's still having sex with her, is he
Yeah.
raping her?
Okay, the answer to that question is yes. Now you're going to answer my question.
Yes.
My
okay.
question, yes.
He
My question.
is. Okay.
Oh, yes, he's great. Okay, yeah. Under the traits true of how I understand grape, yes. Now, with respect to the last point that we made about this, when you say the word graping, or that he's graping her, or that he's engaging in the act of grape, what do you mean by that term? Why he fucking left? Oh, okay, perfect. You know what I wonder? I think he thinks that was a reductio. He's like, yes, I got the reductio. He thinks that wait, everyone, look. This dipshit lit thinks that if a guy is fucking a person who, you know, they're having consensual sex and then she falls asleep in the middle of it, and then he continues to have sex with her unknowingly, is it the case that, under my view, are there traits true of this action that are, symmetrical to grape? And me saying yes, I think this boy thinks that's a reductio. Oh
Yo,
my
I'm
god.
not gonna lie, Lit. I hopped in the shower because I got so meta, but I was still listening. Bro, when did Kojo and I ever agree to the terms that he said? We never agreed to that. Kojo, did we ever agree to have to be like muted dogs the whole time? We never said that. The conditions posited, right, were that Lit was going to have him on the box and that he would not be muted a single time. That is it.
Yeah, I remember saying that. Why is everyone saying I kicked him? I did not kick him. What do you guys are lying? Is he saying, oh, he kicked me? He can come back up. What the fuck? What is this lie?
Okay, did we ever agree to that?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even aware that there was conditions that were agreed to in the first place, but yeah, that was interesting. I have to say I'm a little bit confused on that interaction. I'm not even sure what you guys were debating about.
We were debating of whether or not it's grape under X conditions to have sex with a sleeping person.
Oh, well,
I took the affirmative. I think it is grape.
but wasn't this out of the original purview of the conversation? Weren't we supposed to be like evaluating his normative stance on like
Yeah, but
pedophilia or abortion?
yeah, and I tried to get back to that. Kojo tried to push it back to that, and then he went to I want to talk about my character. You kicked
Fair,
me,
bro. You did kind of rhetoric, Maxim. You really came in hot on the guy.
He had that shit coming, boy. Like, we know that guy's a scumbag. I can point to you 1,000 clips of this
I
guy being
know.
a piece of shit that makes him worse than the worst debaters that we have on here.
Yeah, I know. I've seen a lot of them. Is he coming back? You think, or
I don't. Like, people are lying and saying I kicked him, but if you know me, you know I wouldn't have fucking kicked him.
no? Lit didn't kick him, and on top of that, he made good on his word. He never muted him, not even one time. Like, bro, just come back. Like, Andrew, if you're there, just come back. Now you're all saying, bro, he didn't kick him. What? He asked him the question. Andrew probably thought it was a reduction on his view, and then he just disconnected.
The more you explain yourself, the more they're going to comment it.
Yeah, my bad, bro. I don't these people.
But yeah, I mean, that was fun. I think I sufficiently bitched him around.
Were we on his stream too? We are, aren't we?
I don't know. You lost, own it? No, I don't think I lost. If he wants to say that that's a reductio, A, that's not a reductio. B, he has no conditions for whether or not something is a reductio. You know, yeah. But it's fine. I get there's a lot of, like, Andrew Wilson fans in here.
Holy shit, bro. I just went to that chat, yo. You got 5,000 people.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I
Holy
wish
shit.
the conversation format was different. I think that the format of the conversation just at certain points it was just unappealing to listen to.
Oh, with respect to the rhetoric?
I mean, not just the rhetoric, but just like what the conversation was even about, the rhetoric, the points that were being made. I don't know, man. Like, it just felt weird.
Oh, look, so I was down to talk about normativity. I wanted to talk about his normative ethical theory. Wanted to go into all of that stuff, but I think that he immediately went right into a sort of move about meta saying like, oh yeah, I just think this or I just think that, whatever. In which case, I got rhetorical with him because I think he's a garbage person and I think he's a dodger. I think I watched him in CC's live dodge questions. I think I watched him talk to Bart dodge a bunch of questions.
Yeah, but rhetoric is not about how aggressive you are, how many insults you can throw around. Rhetoric is about convincibility, how appealing you are to the audience. So you have to be able to
Oh
adapt.
yeah.
You have to be
I'm
able
using
to
it proprietary.
adapt. I mean, the kind of like rhetoric that you're using might be appealing to a certain kind of audience, but in front of 7,000 people, it's just not.
Hang on, yeah, sorry. I should have mentioned that I'm not using rhetoric standardly. That's my bad. I'm using like the TikTok version of rhetoric. That's a blunder. So yeah, it's a blunder. That's a blunder. Yeah, I'm just using it to mean like insults.
But I mean, I get it though, because Andrew is not a great person. He doesn't have the best, whatever. I guess people have different feelings about him.
Yeah. So after that, I wanted to move off the character stuff. He wanted to stay on it. So I was just like, yeah, I mean, we can talk about the whole, you have Shemex with your wife while she's sleeping or whatever. So we went into that. We went into hot and cold cognition, which obviously he's not educated on. It's whatever. Then we went into, a bit of an inductive case. We went into prudential interest. And then we went into him just trying to farm out a reductio about whether or not this act is grape. To which I said, this act is a kind of act that has traits true of grape, right? Whatever.
Yeah, I see that. Andrew has 4.5K viewers right now. Oh my god.
This guy has all 4.5 inches of Andrew's dick in his mouth. Calm that down, bro. Like, what are you doing in the comments spamming that at 2 a.m.? Oh, man.
It's 3:30.
No, it's insane. Like, the fucking fanboys. It's wild.
Yo, is that my fellow Indian on the panel?
Indeed.
Yo, what up, bro?
It's good.
My fellow.
Yeah, but I guess if people want to come up and give their thoughts on that, I think he obviously got beat the fuck down. I think he's obviously an idiot. But I mean, if you disagree, you can definitely come up and talk about that.
I mean, I don't disagree he's an idiot, but I think he could have better expressed that. There's a better way to show that.
Yeah, I think that if you're just saying like, look, there is definitely a more productive and more, rhetorically appealing way to demonstrate that he's an idiot without just sort of aping out on him at first, I think that's perfectly fine. But I think to somebody who can analyze the points being made and with respect to whether or not, the supposed reductio was a reductio, I think it's very clear that wasn't a reductio. I think it's very clear that my points went through.
Someone say he's coming back. He's coming back.
Yo, I can't hear you, bro.
Bro, it's like you're going through a tunnel.
Yo, Genesis. Yo, you gotta.
Andrew is coming back. Well, if he's coming back, if you're down to have a debate after your conversation with Lit, let me know.
Yeah, somebody said he was coming back.
Let's have a good faith dialectic predicated on investigating his normative stance. Oh, it's the mighty Apollo?
He's back. He's listening to it, bro. Who gives a fuck? Like, look, Andrew, you're an idiot, bro. That shit was not a reduct. You don't know what a reduct is, boy.
Good faith, good faith. Have good faith.
I was about to say, there goes the good faith.
Yeah, please, let's just have the good faith.
All right. Andrew, look. I understand that you have this idea of what a reductio ad absurdum is with respect to how we use language and how it best captures the actions that we think are true of the term being employed. I understand that, Andrew. Not only do I understand that, but I never offered you a definition. Hang on. I've never offered you a definition of grape, never offered you a definition of grapist. What I said instead is that I think that there are traits and things true of the act of grape that are true with respect to the case that you've given me with respect to someone having schmex with a person who has fallen asleep. So yes, I do think that there are traits true of grape that are also applicable with respect to the case that you gave me. The reason why this is not a reductio ad absurdum is because I'm not committed to the view that's saying that my definition of grape, or lack thereof, is a kind of thing that universally applies to the act of schmex, thus including acts that we wouldn't call grape into, my understanding of what grape is. There we go.
Bro, why did no one mute Genesis the whole time?
Exactly, bro. I was trying to tell him to mute.
Genesis, bro.
Oh, sorry.
Echo is insane, man.
Yeah, you gotta new to your mic, bro. That shit is ass.
I got some holy water for you, Genesis.
Dude, why do they love this guy so much? He was literally getting blown out by some random girl with curly hair on Agrippa's trilemma. He's obviously a LARP. What the fuck? Did you guys see that too? I saw like a clip of it on my For You page.
On the Whatever podcast, he posits that it's self-refuting.
He was getting blown out. He didn't know what it was.
Yeah, he holds that it's self-refuting, but I mean, there are many ways you can
He's
just...
so goated. He's so goated. What the fuck?
To be fair, he engaged, if you, quote-unquote Apollo, did you see his discussion with Bart prior to this?
No, I didn't.
He just refused to even give an argument or defend his stance. I don't think he's actually, I don't know, here in good faith. He claimed that he wanted his stance evaluated and us to talk about what he's doing wrong, but then Kay and I weren't allowed to talk, and Lit and him got into a massive meta conversation.
It's not true. Oh my god, there's another confused LARP in the comments. The dilemma isn't true, you troll. What the fuck? It's not about it being true. This guy thinks dilemmas are true and whatnot. You know what? You made the same blunder he made. You sound goofy as shit.
We're going to coin that term right now. A true dilemma.
What the fuck?
What it is. If he comes back up, quote unquote Apollo, make sure to do the accent.
Yeah, of course.
Little tear. I can't do it, dude.
Well, it's here. No, he can't possibly think he looks good in that debate.
It's like 6,000 people watching that too, huh?
Without stance independent truth, there's only preference. Okay. Just come up. If any Andrew Wilson fans want to come up and discuss Agrippa's trilemma, we can.
Yo, Apollo, what's up like with that? You saying you want to rape little kids? Why are you a pedophile, Apollo?
I'm not the actual Apollo, moron.
Oh shit.
Dumbass.
Wait,
Now you
why are
look
you
goofy as
LARPing as a
fuck.
pedophile? That's kind of odd too,
And now
man.
you look dumb as shit to make fun
You're
of him,
wait.
moron.
Bro, that's so awkward, bro.
And now you look dumb as fuck and it's awkward. What? To make fun of him, that's why. Are you trolling? Okay, would you like to talk about Agrippa's trilemma? I think you're an Andrew. Is this an Andrew Wilson fan?
Me?
Yeah.
I just want to be a little bit clear. The kind of the trilemma run by Erudite is self-refuting because she wasn't running the standard trilemma. She was running it on all justification. Falls
Wait, but
under
do you
it.
think that
Not just
the
certain
trilemmas and
infractions.
dilemmas are true? That's what I want to get at. Like, do you think that when he made this blunder, it talks about them being true? Do you think that's something valid to say? Do you think that's something that should be said about trilemmas and dilemmas?
There's ways to phrase it to say like the dilemma's conclusion is like true.
It's to say it's
but probably
successful.
not.
So hold on. The dilemma itself is not what's true, right? So
Yeah.
something like the trilemma says that justification doesn't obtain, right? And that the three ways in which you would obtain justification, infinite regress, dogmatism, and circularity, are not conducive to epistemic evaluation. Okay, that part is, but whether or not the dilemma itself or the trilemma is true is obviously a blunder. You would agree?
Oh yeah, but I would also
Okay,
say that
cool.
like the way she was framing in the first case is also the blunder. So like if you're talking to someone,
Well, I'm not saying
There's
she's good, by the way.
inaccurate-
I'm actually saying I agree with you. I don't think she's good, and he still made blunders against her. That's the point.
there's a question of like, is it a blunder if it's true under the way that she's framing it and the way she's putting it forward? If it's true that in like the case that she's putting is so far away from like what the actual trilemma is, and it is something that we can say is like a truth apt thing, which I think she was at certain points of it.
Wait, what was her formulation? I only saw one clip. So what's her specific formulation of the trilemma?
I haven't seen it since it came out, so I'm going to be like really rough on this, but it was all justification is going to be one of those three types. not just like certain justification or inferential justification, but like all a categorical statement of all, and that the trilemma is that it falls under one of those three things, and they end up failing because of that.
And what do you think the distinction is from that to this, the way that you conceive of it, or the standard rendition?
The standard rendition is, I personally use Hans Albert's formulation of it. Is that like fine to go with?
Yeah, articulate it. I just want to see.
All forms of certain inferential justification are going to end up falling into self-reference with dogma or circularity. It's going to be just having to be taken a true claim with dogmatism, or it's going to go back infinitely, and we're never actually going to achieve the like point there for regress.
And do you think there's a successful way to get around it?
By appealing to like non-certain or non-inferential forms of justification, like induction. Yeah.
Okay, so are you a foundationalist?
Partially, like, I guess.
Partially.
I'm also like not taking it to be like a certain form of it, right? I'm not saying I'm taking like an inductive form of like foundationalism. So I'll be like already more hesitant than something the trilemma attempts to critique is.
Because you agree that the other two theses attempt to avoid non-inferential justification.
All three of them do.
Well, no, foundationalism endorses non-inferential justification.
In the case that you just get back to like an end point there.
Wait, no. Foundationalism like clearly explicitly endorses non-inferential justification. For example, phenomenal conservatism is a type of foundationalism that
phenomenal conservatism is already going to be a weaker form of it than the trilemma critiques.
Wait, it's a form of foundationalism, and they endorse.
Yeah, but it's not a certain form of foundationalism.
Hold on.
The trilemma only critiques certain forms of
hold on. Do you agree that foundationalists adopt or agree with the non-origination principle?
Can you clarify exactly what you're meaning by that?
Yeah, that's just to say that you can't transmit justification upwards in a chain without non-inference in it first.
Most of them do, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, what do you think is the relevant distinction between a foundationalist thesis and a coherentist thesis if they're not adopting like the non-origination principle?
I'm not sure where the relevancy of the original claim is. Can you tie that in for me, just so I know we're not going off into the woods somewhere?
Yeah, the point is to say that the foundationalist thesis is an acceptance of of non-inferential justification. Okay, so when you have a way to differentiate between, say, the coherentist thesis or an infinitist thesis and the foundationalist thesis, the way in which you can do so is talking about an acceptance over the non-origination principle. Okay, whereas the infinitist or the coherentist can accept something like the inheritance principle. Okay, and so that is essentially an acceptance of an inability to transmit justification upwards in a chain without non-inference within it. So do you accept that foundationalists sign off on that sort of thing? Or do you think, can you just name me a foundationalist view that doesn't sign off on non-inferential justification?
Probably not, but I don't know like the exhaustive list, so I don't want to like make a hard commitment to all views end up doing that. So I am going to like partially like step back on the language and say like, yeah, most do.
Okay, well, I don't know about this, but what do you think delineates the ones from, say, a coherentist thesis that says, okay, it's only inferential justification, right? Like a sophisticated coherency theory, just take like Bonjour's view on it, okay? Do you think that thesis is differentiated from a foundationalist one if they don't accept non-inferential justification?
It certainly gets a lot more muddy. It might be, again, I'm referencing like a potential one that I don't know any like traits of because I don't know any that do this. If I'm like imagining it, probably not, but there could be, right?
Well, no, the problem is what makes it a foundationalist thesis then? If there's a lack of acceptance of non-inferential justification, what do you think makes it foundationalist?
Again, I don't know any of these views offhand, right? I'm specifically caveating this with, I don't know these views. I'm just not going to make the sweeping claim because I don't know if one of these views exists because I don't have an exhaustive list of these views. If we want to take it as like all of them do fathom this for like conversational purposes, I'm happy to do so.
Okay, yeah, well, I think that's a bit silly to say that. The precondition for the foundationalist thesis that differentiates it from a coherentist or infinitist thesis is one that accepts non-inferential justification. That's how you're able to differentiate. And then the way you differentiate the infinitist and coherentist thesis is to say that one terminates in a circle and then the other one doesn't terminate. It just goes on and on and on and on.
This fundamentally doesn't get around the kind of critique of the trilemma, though. So I'm not sure where
that's not what I'm saying. No, what I'm saying is that if you make a claim such as, most foundationalist theses do, I don't think you actually understand what foundationalism is. But you said that you are a foundationalist. You said you're
I'm specifically saying I'm caveating this because I don't have an exhaustive list of foundational theses. And I can like imagine one that doesn't in like a very like abstract sense.
It wouldn't be foundationalist.
Yeah, we can say that. So, which is why I'm saying, for the sake of conversation, and because I don't know any that don't, I'm happy to take this like first granted. I'm just not going to make like the sweeping claim myself, right?
Okay, so Andrew Wilson fans don't know that foundationalism is constituted by an acceptance of non-inferential justification.
I don't know every single foundational theory, and I'm not going to make like
You
a
can't
sweeping
name
claim
one that
because
doesn't
of
accept non-inferential justification.
Yeah, and I'm specifically telling you that, right? Like, the point is, I'm not going to make the sweeping claim because I don't know any of these that exist, but I'm going to say, yeah, that probably all of them do.
No. What
That was,
you
like,
said
already
initially
my
is that
answer.
what you said initially is most of them do. Then I got you to concede that probably all of them do, and then you said, oh, maybe there is one. Okay, but then you realize that it's
Yeah,
actually
probably
a
all.
fundamental
Again,
acceptance. Well,
the entire position from like, yeah, most of them from like the probably all. I think those two are like almost semantically identical. But if you want to say like there's a difference there, fine. We can say I walked it back in that point.
yeah.
I'm clarifying what I'm meaning by that, and it's been that position the entire time since then. And you're just still harping on this, and
Well,
we're
that's
not even
actually
on the
untrue.
trilemma anymore.
Well, that's because you expressed this inaccuracy or inadequacy rather over understanding of a foundationalist thesis.
I don't think it was like an inadequacy or understanding of it. I just said like I don't know the exhaustive list, so I can't make like a sweeping claim. I'm willing to like take this for granted though.
Wait, that's like saying
you
I
actually
can imagine. Okay, wait. What you're saying is akin to saying I can imagine an infinitist thesis that terminates in dogma.
If
following,
we're
right?
defining
Hey,
foundational theses as this, then that's like fine. I don't think that I'm aware of many that define it and like this criterion. In the case of the infinitist thesis, as you're putting it, that would just be like directly contradictory. So that wouldn't be something like comprehensive.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, wait. What do you think makes a foundationalist thesis foundational?
I think that you can say that this might be the case. Again, just foundational thesis. There's going to be different like forms of it. Even like phenomenal conservatism is going to be the one you listed beforehand. Is going to be a lot more hesitant on like this kind of claim.
Wait, no.
gonna be, like, a fundamentally different-
They have an explicit. Hold on. So, okay, I don't know if you haven't read Humor, but they have an explicit exception of non-inferential justification. What are you talking about? What do you think non-inferential justification is actually?
My understanding non-inferential justification are going to be things that like are non-deductive cases from one to the other.
No.
Okay, what do you mean by it then?
Yeah, a non-inferential piece of justification means that whatever justifies the belief in question, so let's say the belief in question is there is a box in front of me, is going to be not inferentially justified by virtue or derivatively of that.
Yeah,
another belief.
the
Okay, so-
non-inferential part, you just